New fallout to tell you about from the massive car bombing that rocked Beirut yesterday, the death toll rising to 7, including a former ambassador to the United States and a prominent critic of Hezbollah. What does this new wave of violence mean to the safety and security of the U.S. and the Middle East? Let's bring in Stephen Yates, former National Security Advisor. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. This is disturbing news, especially because this region, basically with Syria and the other violence, now Lebanon, Hezbollah, is very complicated, but it could escalate quickly.
For sure. It's a very, very troubling indicator. The gentleman that was assassinated was someone who has been a very important ally of the West in pushing back against a broader Shia Islamist movement that really has been an arc of instability from Tehran all the way to the Mediterranean, destabilizing Iraq, Syria, and now spilling over those borders. And it's a broad conflict that we haven't really talked that much about in the United States, as we focused on withdrawing from Iraq and really just the chemical weapons program in Syria or the nuclear program in Iran.
I want to talk about that broader impact, because we've been talking a lot about the administration's foreign policy. How are we viewed over there? Do you think they're looking at this, groups like Hezbollah, saying we have a real opportunity here because America is weak?
I think, unfortunately, friend and foe in the region see the United States essentially in retreat. There are times when we've amped up our rhetoric. People will recall the moments we were thinking about a strike against Syria, but even with Syria, we focused only on the chemical weapons program, not on this broader regional conflict. And so we've had no real strategy, not really picked a side, and so our allies feel as if we have not chosen their side, and they're wondering where is the United States going to come in, if at all, in helping to balance against this rising tide of violence.
This is very similar to what Charles Krauthammer had to say. So as Iran pushes the envelope and continues to spin centrifuges and maybe enrich uranium, and now Hezbollah and this bombing in Beirut occurs and Egypt is so unstable, what must we do? What will it take to get the administration to change its policy and improve our national security?
I think the vital first step is to come to terms with who our enemy really is. The enemy of the United States and of our allies, essentially at the moment, is a Shia Islamist movement. And unless we're able to say that Islamism is an enemy of the United States, we can't really organize around what the political, economic, and military tools will need to be to push back. Have governments that we put pressure on them to be inclusive of, say, the Taliban, the Muslim Brotherhood, and others, if we don't first recognize that those actually are the enemy of progress in the Middle East right now.
Stephen Yates, these are disturbing pictures with huge disturbing implications. Thank you very much for joining us today. We do appreciate it. Keeping an eye on that whole region for you.
Yeah, very volatile. All right, that's going to do